learn of impending judgments that are to be soon poured out as a result of transgressing the sabbatical years. Sighted Moon.
So let's get started. A serious discussion, and that's putting it as politely as I can, with a couple of messianic leaders that claimed that they were two house. And I thought two house was like Judah and Ephraim, or Judah and Joseph. Well, their two house is just Judah. Judah and the other Jews. And I couldn't figure that out. I didn't understand it. So we had a pretty lively discussion about that and a whole bunch of other things. So after that, the stuff that I assumed everyone understood, I had to go back and demonstrate and prove it so that they can understand it. Like I said, I have to prove it so that you can't you can't get your butt off the wall once I've nailed it to the wall, which is what I did. I've searched my family tree. I've traced it all the way back to 892 AD, by name by name. And I know what the names mean. Okay, so this is the boring part. We're just old news to you, but you need to understand it because I'm going to ask questions as we're going. If this is happening, this is the promise to Israel, where is that in the world? Israel became a nation at the Exodus in 1379 BC. Uh-oh. Okay, that's in the prophecy of Abraham. That's by doing that chronology of the sabbatical and jubilee cycles. It's there. Prove it wrong. Prove it wrong. If you can. But you can't because I've done the work. Yes, I'm being arrogant. I'm challenging you. I want to make you mad so that you go and do it. Just shut me up if you can. Because I love you. Okay? Because I care about you. 1379, the Exodus took place. It was 42 years later, in 1337, that they crossed the Jordan and came into the Promised Land. The land of Israel was promised to the descendants of Abraham in 1809 BC, when Jehovah made the covenant with Abraham. And this is what some people say that Promised Land was. So when did that ever happen? Well, it didn't. This is King David's empire, 1010 BC. King David's empire spanned the world, as I mentioned yesterday.
Now, when I read Possessor of the Hellenic Kings, I was saying, well, it must be referring to all these other corpses that are in a body, and this Alexander Helios is the possessor. Now, the main question I had, and we're still pondering over the answer, and I have a hypothesis over it, is how did the tomb get from Alexandria to America?
We find evidence of Hebrew writing all over the place. What's the name for iron in Hebrew? Anyone know? Hang on. Anyone else? Glenn. Barzil. B-Z-L. Guess what country is called Barzil? What? Oh, I thought you said Israel. Yeah, Brazil. Brazil. Why? Because it's the iron capital of the world to this day. And King David named it because of the iron that was taken there. Northern Michigan, I mentioned this yesterday, right? They took the copper. They took that copper out of Northern Michigan to make the temple.
What we have in Marion County is indeed the lost tomb of the Ptolemaic dynasty, including the cadavers of Alexander the Great and Queen of Queens Cleopatra.
And that copper is still in King David's tomb beneath the temple where the temple used to be. And I've seen the entrance to it. But I'm not telling anybody where that is. At the death of Solomon, 930 BC, the United Empire split between the king of Israel and the king of Judah. Now, most people have a brain cramp about this time and think that everyone is a Jew. That's an Israelite. That's like saying everyone in the United States is a Tennessean. All Tennesseans are Americans, but not all Americans are Tennesseans.
And I want to add that there is no other archaeological site the world over that has more paper documentation more witnesses to artifacts, more research done on the artifacts than this tomb located in Marion County. The parties now submit this document to prove as legal evidence of same. And this is when we got into a lot of trouble. This began the ball spinning for us. We had no idea the type of Pandora's box that we had just now opened. Which the initial Tomb Tape 3 featured several voices that were fictitious. So we were asked again to go and recut Tomb Tape 3 as it was with our regular normal speaking voices. So the famous Tomb Tape 3 is actually the second version of the Tomb Tape 3. And we tagged Tomb Tape 3 with more photographs and decipherments in the end, and put an intro to it, and sent that particular tape to the 12 embassies involved in October of 1994. Tomb Tape 3 began giving descriptions of the tomb recorded by layman authors in various books. What was known as a Burroughs cave had been discussed as a controversial issue in certain circles for many years. Let's go to Tomb Tape 3 as a reference and hear Paul explain the decipherment of the first long Helios script, and we will see other decipherments after that also from Tomb Tape 3. We look at another stone tablet from the Burroughs cave, and as so often the case throughout the Burroughs cave, there'll be a man's head and his name will be carved underneath the head or somewhere on the face of the stone where his head exists. And right now we're going to find out who Helios is.
Under reverse of the stone we have a bunch of script which describes this Helios. This is an extremely important recovery from the cave because it will give you exactly who this person was, what he was, and from what dynasty he came from. Over to the left, I have copied as best as I can the script that is on the stone, and looking at it, it is clearly the Etruscan script, the Etruscan. Here we have the backward F again, and we have numerous letters that are characteristic of the Etruscan script. A-B-L, tabula. Below here we have a combination of an F and an L, reads as Phleos. Here we have Eube with a silent E at the end. We have seen the Yuba before, but Eube. De, Helio. Here we have the FL again, Fluzu. A B, an F and an N, Phoenikeo. Here we have Et again, and here we name Raumilis. Here we have Ephetor and Defludet. This is a form of archaic Latin, but most of the words are identical to the Church Latin, except like the word Phleos, we have the word Flumen today, Fluminis, which is rivers. But back then, the word fluxus phleos means flowing water. so they used waterways as the word for rivers. Let's look at the translation here. Tabula, map. Phleos, plural for rivers. Eube, of Yuba. De, by. Helios, flusu, singular, river. Baetos, Baetum is the Baetis, the name of the river. Kaeli means inscribed in rock. Quos, in this case, means on which. Gade, from Gades, a famous city, port city. Poto means powerful. Pervunet means navigated, from the word pervenio. Phila means offshoot or branch, like a genetic branch or offshoot.
You understand that? All Jews are Israelites, but not all Israelites are Jews. The 10 northern tribes are 10 northern tribes, and they were called Israel. Judah was called Judah. They were not called Israel after this separation. Why? Because the blessing of the name of Israel went to the tribe of Joseph. You need to understand that if you want to understand prophecy, because too many people are blind and say all Israelites are Jews. No. All the Israelites are in Judah, in the state of Israel today. No.
Punis means Punic. Phoenicio means Phoenician. Et means and. Raumilis is the Romulans, which here it seems is the old word for the Romans. They were called the Romulans, not the Romans. Makes perfect sense because Romulus was their founder, so why would they not be called the Romulans? Ephetor means crushed, and tefludet means they vanished. Now let's put all these words together into the paragraph and get the exact meaning of the script on the rock. Here we have the English translation.
Israel and Judah went to war against each other. So you guys can read some of this as I'm talking. I'm just going to glance and just carry on. We're going to try and make up some time.
It says, Yuba's map of rivers by Helios. On this rock is inscribed the river Baetis, on which the powerful Punic branch of the Phoenicians from Gades navigated and vanished after Romulans crushed them.
Okay? So we got two distinct people that are mentioned in your Bible, and they go to war against each other. Israel fought against Judah. Judah fought against Israel. It's in your Bible. They are not the same people, but they are the same people.
Here, like as Alexander Helios disappeared from history as a small boy, he somehow ended up over here to run this Mauritanian colony for his brother-in-law Yuba, who was married to Cleopatra Selene.
Understand that. They are, like Tennesseans are Americans, but Americans aren't Tennesseans. Not all of them. So here's the 10 tribes. This is the way they're laid out, and that's the magnitude of their empires before they went into captivity. So in Genesis 15:4, and see the word of Jehovah came to him, saying, this one is not your heir. Talking about Ishmael. But he who comes from your own body is your heir. And he brought him outside and said, look now forward toward the heavens and count the stars, if you are able to count them. And said to him, so are your seeds. I'm even having a hard time reading that on my screen. Genesis 12:2. And I shall make you a great nation, and bless you, and make your name great, and shall be a blessing. And I shall bless those who bless you, and curse him who curses you. And I shall make you a great nation, and bless you, and make your name great, and shall be a blessing. And I shall bless those who bless you, and curse him who curses you, and in you all the clans of the earth shall be blessed. That's the French. So, here's the next one. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their weapons are implements of violence. Let my being not enter their council. Let my esteem not be united to their assembly, because they slew a man in their displeasure, and they lamed an ox in pleasure. Cursed be their displeasure, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. And I divide them in Jacob,